Hi gorgeous! In today's video, I'm sharing a review, dupes, and a look with you for the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. There's a lot of controversy surrounding this palette, right? If you haven't been able to get one, don't feel bad because I haven't been able to get one either. This is actually one that I borrowed from a friend of mine. Thank you so much, Dina, for allowing me to borrow your palette because I wanted to be able to create a dupe list for those of us who have not been able to get a hold of this palette. I know Too Faced is in the midst of creating more of these, and supposedly it takes a long time to create these palettes, whatever the case may be. On with the dupe list. Some of these are exact dupes while others are great substitutions, and I will let you know the differences between each of the eyeshadows with an up-close example so that you get a better idea of what I'm talking about. First eyeshadow in the palette is White Peach. Now this one can be duped out with MAC's Vanilla. Really hard to tell these two apart. I would say that MAC's Vanilla is a little bit more pigmented than White Peach, but a great one to use in place of White Peach. Next eyeshadow up is Luscious. I thought this was going to be a really unique eyeshadow in the palette. Turns out it's an exact dupe for MAC's All That Glitters eyeshadow. Really hard to tell these two apart, no difference between the two. Just Peachy. Now this is one of the more unique shades in the palette and one that is rather hard to dupe out, but you can get close if you layer MAC's Paradisco with Bling. It gets you there, but it's not an exact match. Bless Her Heart can be found in Inglot's line number 419. If you study these two up close together, you can see that Inglot's eyeshadow has a little bit more golden tones to it, but not by much. And if you applied these onto your eyes side by side, you really couldn't tell the difference. Tempting is a black shade with sparkles in it. Now you would think that this would be a really easy one to dupe, but there are so many different black shades out there. Closest I came was Urban Decay's Deadbeat from the Vice 4 palette, and even that's not an exact dupe, but one you could use in place of it. Charmed, I'm sure, has a dupe in MAC's Corduroy. Corduroy is a little warmer by comparison, but not by much. These two are pretty much identical. Nectar can be found in Makeup Geeks' Rapunzel. Now Rapunzel is a little lighter by comparison. There are more golden tones in Nectar, but a great substitution. Cobbler can be found in LORAC's Unzipped palette in the eyeshadow Uncensored. These two are almost identical. Cobbler has more pink undertones if you study the two closely, but one could be used in place of the other. Candied Peach. I thought this was going to be another one of those really unique shades in the palette. Turns out it's an almost exact dupe for Makeup Geeks' Poppy eyeshadow. There are tiny pink sparkles that you can find in Too Faced version, but you really can't tell once you've applied it onto your eyes. These two look identical. Bellini's dupe can be found in MAC's Expensive Pink. Now these two are not identical. Bellini does have more pink compared to Expensive Pink, which actually has a little bit more peach tones to it, but I feel like it's a great substitution. Peach Pit's dupe can be found in MAC's Twinks. Again, you study these two close up. Twinks has a little bit more purple tones to it. I personally think that Twinks is a prettier shade, but the two are interchangeable. Delectable is one of the more unique shades in the palette. It's a red toned purple. Couldn't find anything in my collection that resembled it exactly, but LORAC's Plum from the LORAC Pro 2 palette is pretty close. It's just a little bit of a cooler shade. Peaches and Cream can be found in Anastasia's Soft Peach, but Soft Peach is a little darker than the Too Faced eyeshadow. Another great one that you can try in place of this is Makeup Geeks' Beaches and Cream. George's dupe can be found in LORAC's Nectar from the Pro Palette 2. Nectar is more pink with rosy undertones, but it's still pretty close to a match. The dupe for Caramelized can be found in MAC's Bronze. No difference between these two, really hard to tell them apart. An exact dupe for Puree is MAC's Saddle. Dead on dupe, hard to tell these two apart. One of my most favorite neutrals from MAC. Summer Yum has two dupes that you can use. Makeup Geeks' Cocoa Bear, which is the one I'm showing you here, and MAC's Brown Script. Great dupes for this eyeshadow. And the last eyeshadow in the palette is Talk Derby to Me. This is a black eyeshadow with purple sparkles in it. First one that came to my mind was Catalyst from Stila's In the Moment palette, but unfortunately this palette is not available anymore and it's hard to get. So I asked my friends on Snapchat, what does this remind you of? And somebody sent me a snap showing me ColourPop's Envy, which is readily available and looks pretty darn close to this eyeshadow. And now for the review. If you're wondering about the smell of it, it doesn't smell like peaches. Okay, you're talking to a Georgia girl here who lives for August alone for peach season. And I'm telling you what, this It is not what peaches smell like. This is a plastic manufactured artificial smell. It's nothing like peaches, and it's almost too sweet. It's just not there. Somebody didn't do their homework with the way that peaches really smell. As far as pigmentation goes, all of the eyeshadows performed extremely well. They're very buttery, easy to apply onto the eyes. They wear extremely well. No creasing, no fading. Very happy with every single eyeshadow in this palette for the most part. Didn't have any trouble with getting any of them to show up on my eyes. Now, if you're gonna ask me if I'm going to buy this palette for myself when Too Faced releases the new batch, I'm gonna have to tell you no. I was not that impressed with this palette to where I feel like I must have one for myself, and I feel like they've hyped it up more than anything else to make people want it, but I don't feel like there's anything truly unique in this palette that is worth scrambling to get, especially after having duped it out. The only eyeshadow that I would feel like I would be wanting to have from this palette would be just Peachy, simply because it is a really unique eyeshadow. But am I gonna buy this eyeshadow palette just to get that one? No. I'm not, and I honestly don't see what all the hype is with this one. I would have preferred to have more peachy shades in here. I feel like they were really lacking. Just my own personal opinion. It's not going to be one that I'm going to be reaching for, but I would love to hear your opinion, whether you've been able to get it, or it's one that you still want, or it's one that you just have no interest in. So feel free to share your thoughts on it below. And before we end the video, I will show you a look using this palette for those of you who do want to recreate more of a peachy look for summer, or if you were able to get this palette and you just need an idea for how to wear it. I've gone ahead and applied my eyeshadow primer. I used the one from NARS, and the first eyeshadow I'm taking from the palette is Candied Peach, and I'm using this to deepen and define the crease. And the brush I'm using is the Sigma E25. It's great for depositing color exactly where you want it. Next shade I'm taking from the palette is Joja. I'm applying this into the crease also, but I'm using this to blend out the edges of Candied Peach towards the brow bone. For the lid in this look, first I'm taking Nectar and applying this onto the inner half of the lid. And then I'm taking the shade Just Peachy and applying this onto the outer half of the lid and creating more of a sunset kind of look here, very summery. Finally, I'm taking the shade Cobbler and using this on the lower lash line. And for my lashes, I'm taking a pair from inkyminky.com. These are the style White Lie. For my cheeks, I also went with a summery color. This is Clinique's Peach Pop, and I'm applying it here with the fan brush from Eve Pearl. And for the lips, because it's summer, I wanted a statement color, so I mixed together MAC's Girl About Town with Razzle Dazzler that gave me more of a pinky peach lip. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.